Call this meeting to order. All stand and face the flag. Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Brett Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yocum present. Approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
I will second the motion to approve minutes.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
Make a motion to approve claims as written.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
I'll second the motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving right on. We have the treasurer and investment report. Linda Pruitt.
Lorinda Pruitt, Vermillion County Treasurer. You have the Trust Indiana report in front of you. There was $444.
That can go.
Make sure you hear.
I need to put that one, that little one.
That one.
There was $444.63 in interest earned in Trust Indiana. Rates are down to 0.06%. We still get 0.15% from our main checking account. As of May 31st, we had $26,746. $26,746,841.99 in our main account. So the interest on that for the month of April was $3,156.80. So that brought the total to $3,601.43 for all interest that we earned.
Also, like when the money comes in for the community crossing grant, we'll still get interest on that till we spend it by you investing it, right?
The community crossings grant has no money in it in Trust Indiana.
For what?
There's no money in Trust Indiana.
Okay.
If you have community crossings money, it's all in our main account.
But can it be stuck in there until we need it?
It can be in the main account, or it can be in Trust Indiana.
So you're saying the main account is already a interest-bearing account? You're
Yes.
saying? Okay. When you
And
say
it's-
main account, I thought...
And it's just a
statement.
checking account,
Okay,
but it's an interest-bearing account.
okay. Anybody have any questions for Lorinda? Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Open issues, health department update on COVID-19 guidelines. Linda Farley.
Morning.
Good morning.
I sent you guys out an email to the auditor's office and sent you our updates. So for May, Vermillion County had 49 positive cases. And then as of June right now, we have 5. So as far as we're notified, we are still in the yellow, which means a very moderate spread.
What will get us out of the yellow? I mean, how far we got to go to get out of the yellow?
Lower cases.
Do what?
Lower cases, less cases.
Okay, but I mean, we only got a couple.
We
so-
only have, but they go by 100,000. I'm not quite sure how they figure it all for us. We've questioned them and have gotten no response back. So we're waiting to find out why we were actually in the yellow this time. I haven't got an email to figure out what we are for this week. So they email us every week to let us know where we're at. So for the fully vaccinated residents, we have 4,957, and that includes the Moderna shots that we give was 4,579, and the Johnson & Johnson have been given 378 vaccines.
And those are definitely Vermillion County residents.
These are all Vermillion County residents, yes.
So roughly a third.
Yes, first doses, and I know, Britton, you asked about how many first doses we've given. As of yesterday, we've given 4,952. So we're around 9,000 that have received shots. They're not completed all the way, but they have received shots. So depends if they go through the second series till we can count them fully vaccinated.
So if they go to the fully vaccinated, it'll be 9,000?
Yes. And these are Vermain County residents only. We've taken all the other residents out. So I think that's pretty good. The difference between the 2 months, or within the 2 weeks, 191 shots were given to be fully vaccinated. So we're not the only ones that are given it. Some other doctor's office, plus they can go anywhere and get the vaccine. But we do get notified when they're Vermain County residents. The nurse and I sat down and have discussed, we're going to do 2 mass vaccine clinics coming up. The first one is this Thursday, June 10th, from 4 to 7. We will offer Johnson & Johnson only. We have 100 doses of that, so we're going to offer that. That's the one-time shot, and then that is a walk-up clinic, so you do not have to be registered for that. Anyone can come in. We're going to have a tent out front, and they can just walk up and get the vaccine. We'll register them ourselves. And then on the 19th we're going to do all 3 shots. We're going to do Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson's. We do have them in our facility right now. The Pfizer, we really want to focus on 12 to 17-year-olds, because they can receive that vaccine. And right now, we only have, between the 2 schools, around 25 kids that have received it.
And 12 is the youngest.
12 at this point, yes.
You have one of the refrigerators that go to the,
They changed the way that we can store Pfizer, so we can keep it in a regular vaccine freezer for 2 weeks, transfer it to the regular refrigerator for 30 days.
okay.
So we're trying to get rid of those doses.
Mhm.
And the times for Thursday is 11 to 3, so they'll be able to come in. We'd like them registered, but if they're not and they show up, we still will give them vaccines.
Is there a foreseeable date when these clinics are going to cease and they'll just have to go to the doctor or pharmacist or wherever?
We were offered a grant and we committed to it, so we are going to do the vaccines through the end of the year.
Okay.
I don't honestly see it stopping. I look for it to be more like a flu shot vaccine at one point.
Has there been any information provided about whether you have to have a booster after 1 year? Because we're probably going to be coming up on that here.
Not yet. They're talking about it, but we don't have anything confirmed on that.
Okay.
Okay?
One of the questions I have, when the kids go back to school, are the kids still going to be required to wear a mask?
That I do not know. They'll talk to the Department of Education, and the Health Department will come together and they'll make a decision on that.
Because I heard something, and maybe you can get the clarification on it. There's federal money out there, and if they don't do it, the school corporations won't get this federal money. You know anything really true to that?
That I do not know. I've not heard any of that. Now, we are in communication right now. The kids are in summer school, so they are required to wear a mask through summer school right now.
Okay.
But we are we talk to superintendents almost weekly on what.
Could you ask them that question?
I sure will. I'll email you.
Okay.
And then I also sent you a map that the state sent us. I don't know if you have it, Eric, but I can give it to you, on where Vermain County is on the colors.
Do you need that?
It's on the back.
Um,
It's on the back of the, it's got it.
So that's just, and it breaks it down on what percentage that we're at. So fully vaccinated, we're about 25 to 30%. And then the other shots, we'll see as it goes. They have 28 days to receive the shots. So hopefully we see that number grow.
What happens after 28 days?
They
Start over?
they will extend it. So they give them 28 days and then up to 42 days for the vaccine on the Moderna. The Pfizer, I think you can get it any time after that. But the Pfizer's 21 days after vaccination, the first dose.
Since we're in the yellow, what does that mean?
That means we're at moderate spread, so we have a low to
I mean,
moderate
is there any
spread.
restrictions at all?
The restrictions basically are for the
limit the amount of people.
The limit amount of people, yes, for, let me,
That'd be pretty high, 'cause it used to be 250, didn't it?
blue is 250, yellow is 100, and that's for gatherings. So when you're in the blue, 250 people for a social gathering,
And you say yellow is less than the blue.
100,
But you say it's 100 for,
100 for social gatherings.
Is this still permit required?
Excuse me?
Is this still, do you still
We
issue
have
some
people
type of
that will
agreement?
send us the
Plan.
plans that they have, and then Dr. Albright approves them, or we can not approve them.
Is there a penalty for not having one?
No,
Okay.
no.
anybody have any questions for the health department? Thank you.
All right, and I will email you that as soon as I talk to them. Okay, thank you.
Vermillion Trails, Vermillion Rise, excuse me, Bob Gray.
Good
Morning.
Just a few things to share. One, our next board meeting is not this Thursday, next Thursday, it's June 17th. So as we continue to discuss our water agreement, please share any comments and whatnot, so we can move toward mutually executing that.
Do you have the paperwork for a proposal to Hillsdale, or do I need to get one from Hillsdale to you? Or how do you guys want to work that out? You got any feedback on it?
No.
The communication between Hillsdale and, it's been a verbal, and so trying to figure out where we need to go on this.
Rochelle, the connection between the Rise and the Sheriff's Department, does that have a valve, or is it a backflow preventer?
There's a valve.
And it has to be closed. I don't know that we have to have one, but there's supposed to be a separation between the Rise and the Sheriff's Office if there's a disruption and we go to Hillsdale Water. I'm not sure that a valve is the right way of going, but that's what we have right now.
Well, I was talking earlier about a spool piece to put in and take it out, some manual piece. I didn't know if a double valve would satisfy that ruling.
The valve does, but the issue is if somebody doesn't follow the protocol to close valves, then you will have a cross connection to the Rise at that point. So that's a technical matter, but
Okay, I mean,
we shouldn't
but I'm-
have to. We should have a separation between the two entities before with only a small cross contamination of just the gel.
I'm saying
system.
we need to resolve this here next week or so, think?
I don't think so. I don't think we have to have an issue between the Rise and Hillsdale unless those two parties are wanting to do something with it. But as far as the commissioners go, I don't believe that we have an
Right.
issue with it.
Okay. Continue on.
Wanted to bring to your attention the Shell building matter. Last year, July, we entered into an agreement with the county about the repayment of the $1.5 million you have in the project. And the change was, we asked you to consider taking 1.3 at closing, and then we could use that $200,000 to pay a broker. So our broker agreement terminates in July, and so we thought if we enter into a renewal or another broker agreement, we'd like to ask you for that same arrangement. So just for reference, we don't know the details of that yet, what we'd like to ask for, or we don't really know how the broker agreement might work. But I just wanted to give you a heads up and share with you what we did
That was
last
only for
year.
1 year?
Yes. So this is just a draft, taking last year's and updating it. Well, frankly, just with new commissioners' names, it's virtually
You
the
guys
same
need to
agreement.
read this.
But just wanted to bring that to your attention, and we might be back at the July meeting and be able to update you on where Garmon, Rise are at with a broker, and then incorporate those details into that agreement and ask for your consideration to approve that.
But how do you feel about if a broker's been offered $200,000 to sell his building? And he's had it for a year and he hasn't sold it.
Well,
are you
I mean, I think we can go around the state and look at shell buildings in soft markets. You know, the building I built when I was in Henry County, it sold 6 years later. Batesville sitting on an identical building, almost going on 8 years. So, you know, I agree, Tim. It seems like that's considerable compensation that would motivate somebody to move a building. On the other hand, we've heard if that building was, you know, 40 miles closer to Indianapolis or in that suburban ring where virtually seems all the announcements and ribbons are being cut, all the economic activity, we'd probably have sold that and be building another one. So it's a patience thing. It's hard to stand by, but I do think having a broker is essential and increases the odds of us finding a buyer.
Did they ever provide you, or did we ever get a estimate on the value of that building? We had someone doing appraisal work, and we thought we had on this jail project. We hired someone to do appraisal, right? On the
2 different firms.
huh?
2 firms are providing an appraisal for this.
Okay. I think we might get that. If you could possibly get that information off of the ones that are doing that for the jail, and maybe get an estimate done on that spec building to see the approximate value of
There's
it.
a fee associated with that as well.
To what?
There's a fee associated with an appraisal as well. So,
Well, you have someone who's trying to sell the building right now who is a real estate person who should have all that information and trying to sell it. I think that they ought to provide that for free, you know?
Yeah, well, an appraisal is an instrument that's defined and has certain components, and there is a fee. You know, we've done that out at the Rise for other structures. I will share that Garmon, Cushman & Wakefield, our broker, none of them have any concerns about the building not appraising. As a matter of fact, with this exponential growth or increase in the cost of building materials, and considering this was built at 2017 prices, you know, we're beginning to use that as a marketing lever. That it used to be kind of a salty price in 2017 because it's a Cadillac building, and now it's, you know, it's kind of moving into a sweet spot, I think, relative to other like structures. So I don't think that's going to be a problem with any buyer of being able to, for that building to appraise at the sale value.
Have they give you a report on how many people, how many companies that contact them and that stuff? Is it to show that any activity of them promoting that building?
Not in great detail. Again, I just firmly believe a firm like Cushman & Wakefield is just ear to the ground, just has knowledge of people looking for structures. It's kind of difficult to nail down, but when you're a top 5 broker globally, you're just going to hear about deals that we're just not going to, and provides that exposure to that building.
I think the primary shareholders here are Garmong and Rise. The commissioners have an interest in this for sure, but that interest expires after 10 years, which the monies are to be paid back to the county at that point, and we're at year 6 now. I think both of them have an incentive to move the building whenever it's conducive to do so, whatever the price may be. And I'm pretty sure Garmong's going to take a reasonable dollar for this. I can't imagine them taking something less than the appraised value for it at this point in time. We're just now, I think, getting into the time period in which it was projected here between 6 and 9 years of when it was to sell. So we're really at the very initial part of that sales concept, or the plan in which they had developed to move the building. So I think we're just now entering into that phase, if you will. So I'm not opposed to what you're talking about of going with an additional broker. There's no real fee to the county. It does delay And the interest rate on whatever the 250,000, whatever it is what our cost would be. We're not making any money on them, as far as I know, on the interest on that monies. So that's our cost.
But we're gonna pay $200,000 out of $1.5 million.
No, we'll get that back from Rise. It's just it'll be an extended period of time when they sell the building, then they will reimburse us whatever that retainage, or not retainage, but brokerage fee would be if they sell it. The brokerage fee is paid anyway, even if Garmong sells it.
If it's on the clock when that broker's, yeah,
And Garmong still, have they agreed to that as well?
yes.
Still, okay, or going forward after July?
Yeah, I think that's just the broker's agreement. If it's on their watch, almost under any circumstance, they're gonna get paid.
Sure.
And what is the date that our agreement runs out with Gormong where they have to pay the money? If it ain't so,
Well, I think like Britton said, it was a 10-year deal and we're in 6, so
another 4?
4, and then if nothing else comes to pass, you get your 1.5 million back, Ormond takes the building, and we stop paying carrying costs.
How much does that amount to per year for you?
It used to approach $100,000, but with the cost of money, Kelly noted it's decreased significantly, just because interest, it's tied to prime plus 1, plus all the other incidental costs of maintenance and utilities and insurance. But I think we're closer to maybe $65,000 a year, just because of the interest being less.
If we can step back to the water agreement, it seems like it's a reasonable agreement, except for I think John noted that we have a 30-day period in which either party can give notice of not wanting to continue the agreement or to discontinue service. For the jail, that's not probably going to be an acceptable period of time to be able to replace a water supply just within 30 days of notice, for whatever reason. With that, I think we need to look at an extended period, a lot longer than that, of at least 6 months minimum, if not more, minus any emergency conditions that may prevail as far as environmental conditions go, or health concerns go, or dictates, I guess, by the state.
So maybe, frankly, more like a year would be
For us to
in
actually,
the realm of reality, to finding an alternative water solution, et cetera.
I believe that'd be a better situation for the county anyway. I can't see us being able to replace that water supply for that type of facility in a short term anyway.
Yeah, that's a good catch. I think we just kind of knee-jerked into 30 days, typical agreement stuff. But that's, we'll adjust that, maybe send another version back to John and you all, and anything else that comes up between now and then we can work toward acting on that revised agreement.
Do you have the backup generators at both places, at the wells and also here now?
The wells,
Did IDEM require that?
yeah, we got it at the waterworks. But I don't know that we've got that at the well, because we got a 7 million gallon reservoir.
Okay.
So we're typically it would have to be catastrophic.
Yeah.
I was thinking we do have the backup heaters there in the event electric power goes out. There is propane heaters, because that's the thing, is to keep that elevated well warm, that it wouldn't freeze.
Do you have an emergency plan if you would lose power for an extended period of time to those wells? Do you have a plan in which you will, I guess, a water plan to develop for an extended period of time, 7 days, 30 days,
No.
et cetera?
No, that's something, and we really need to work on that system-wide, understanding sort of a operation maintenance emergency.
Protocol.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We did get a IDEM did do an inspection of the wastewater treatment plant, and there were no deficiencies with the plant, although they continue to challenge us to find infiltration and inflow concerns, which we spent a load of money years ago fixing a lot of areas where there was inflow, so we're going to go back and see if some of those repairs are still functioning or what might be happening.
So your metered water versus your inflow into your sewer plant's a lot higher.
During rain events, there's a correlation between volume and regular treatment, yeah. So somewhere there's stormwater entering the plant. More dilution.
Anybody got any questions for Bob?
One last question though, does the RISE want an agreement with Hillsdale for Hillsdale to be able to supply water to you or you to Hillsdale should you have an event that causes a problem?
Say again,
Do you want a cross-connection agreement between Hillsdale and the RISE?
Well, I think we were talking about that, and again, we wanted to get this agreement in place first. The sensitivity is about our agreement with the IURC that we will not serve any customers outside.
I'm talking about an emergency agreement more or less. So
Yeah,
if you have
well,
problems
and
that they
that's
can
sort of the
cross-connect.
thing then is an emergency agreement not a service agreement? You know, how do you, is there some terminology there that works and we can't just call the IURC and ask them any change we've sort of broached this with them and they said, you know, if you got any questions, file the petitions, go through the process.
This isn't for today's meeting, but I'd like to eventually find out why you're even in the IURC.
Yeah.
Well, we're not. If we would serve a customer outside the fence, then we would.
I'd like to hear about that too,
Okay.
because I'm not
Yeah.
sure that's exactly true. I'd like to know what circumstances throws you underneath that regulation.
I'll share that with you guys, yeah.
Because I've been with 2 water companies and both of them end up pulling out of IURC because of the cost.
There's
the regulation.
There are certain things required, and
You gotta do
I'd
rate
like to
study
hear-
and everything, you try to do something, it escalates the cost of doing it, so. You're saying that you come at, you're not in the IRC.
We're not,
yet
as
you-
long as we stay in our box. But if we leave the customer outside the fence, jail's grandfathered. Any new customer, then that would click the lever and potentially we'd be.
Would that be a question for the IDM rep on that?
We've asked them that and they're like, hey, we do your water and sewer, that's a regulatory,
Okay.
yeah.
it's a different animal.
Yeah. But that's a great, because it's not intuitive, so I'll send you that.
Good.
So I just wanted to add, Bob and I are working on a job fair with Mike Smith, hopefully in July. The RISE has a lot of openings that we're hoping to, you know, maybe fill through a job fair. So we're looking at putting one of those together next month.
Sure. Thank you, Bob. Vermillion Trails Alliance.
Les Zimmerman with the Vermillion Trails Alliance. If you will recall, last meeting, I threw out a proposal to you all and asked if you would be willing to take ownership of a certain section of land, a strip of land, for a trail extension, and also if you would be willing to become the applicant for the grant to execute this trail project. And I supplied a couple of options to purchase letters to John here. I hope you've had a chance to review them. And so I just want to know what your decision, if you have a decision on that, if you have more questions. But we would like to come away with this, from this meeting today, with a couple of signed options to purchase. And of course, those options to purchase would naturally hinge on whether this grant was successful.
You're talking about the property along Railroad Grade going
Yes,
south.
Yes, the property going from the creek.
Swinford and
We're not saying names at this point.
from
The
two
property
farms,
owners.
two pieces of property.
Yes. So, that's my question for you this morning. Would you be willing to take ownership of this project? Which, and it seems to me like it's a logical thing for you to do, because you already own the previous project. This is simply an extension of the existing project. And I think we have demonstrated that we're working in good faith. We have demonstrated that this process works. Brenda here has said that the reimbursement process is very good.
How's that reimbursement? I'm trying to figure out now.
This is a grant-funded project. The county council agreed to pay for the project as bills come due, and then they are reimbursed to the tune of 80% on the backside.
And
And
the
the
20%?
20% is the match, which we already have in the bank.
Okay. So,
And it's already in the account.
my question to you is, those claims will come here and we sign those claims, right? I'll be signing the claims.
I submit the claims to the auditor's office, and then they go through here. I've only done one resubmission so far, and it's.
Okay, but what
reimbursed.
my question is, because I signed those claims, so who's approving, so economic development is approving?
No, not economic development.
Well, there's gotta be, I'm
It's
trying to say, I'm
yes.
trying to figure out the responsibility through this process. You're getting money, which I understand that process, but who's overseeing what you submit, the approval of that?
DNR, the administrator of the grant.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm
Yes,
trying to figure out
DNR.
where is that, for me to sign something, and I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong, but if I know there's someone back through there that's overseeing that and approving it, it gives me a better feeling when I look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And
I
so,
do. And
they'll be signing off.
DNR, the Division of Outdoor Recreation, is the administrator of this grant.
Okay, and they'll be signing off on invoices too, some way when they come in?
No, they don't send the invoices. Pretty much, the only invoices we've got is pretty much from HWC Engineering at this point.
At this point.
And that's what we've submitted for reimbursement so far.
Okay.
And these are all approved. I mean, Lisa over at DNR, she sees all this stuff.
Yes, they all go to Lisa.
They're all approved.
I'm not questioning, I'm just making sure
No,
when I
and-
sign
and-
something, I
and,
want
you
to
know,
know.
and I don't do paperwork well. I can operate equipment all day long, but paperwork and me don't get along very well.
One other thing that goes along with this is that the auditor certifies that these are appropriate expenditures and that they've been accounted for appropriately as well, so.
And really, the only cost to the county is, of course, the administrative cost.
I'm 100% for it, I'm just trying to question some things here so I know more.
And I wish I was better positioned to answer that, but we can find the answers. When that stuff comes at me, I try to deflect it.
I, for one, am in agreement with what we're doing. I need to read through the actual, I guess what is it, the property descriptions, I guess.
They're attached to the.
They are.
to the letters?
I've not been able to go through that with a fine-tooth comb at this point, though. But I'm in agreement to continue with this process and to take the properties over and to support the administration of the grant, or not the administration, but the grant itself.
And to own the property.
Yes.
As a commissioner.
But I need to go through I'm not done going through the survey or the descriptions of the properties at this point.
Now, I don't want to try to be pushy here, but we are coming up again. We have a December 1 grant submission deadline.
Mhm.
So we're getting, and these things are complicated. You all know that. So we're getting to a timeliness issue here.
Mhm.
And I brought this to you 2 weeks ago, hoping that we could have maybe some signed papers today.
I'm not going to be able to sign it today myself.
Could you at least perhaps make a motion and agree that you will sign them, so we can, Because we're getting ready to set off on a big journey here, you know.
we can say, I believe, I'm speaking myself, but we should be able to say by next meeting, we'll have an answer signed or something. What do you say?
Well, I'm sure we can have that, I think, unless there's a real issue with it, with the descriptions. In principle, I think we're in agreement with this, owning it and signing off on the paperwork. It's just the technical aspects of the paperwork to make sure that it's all appropriate.
Well, we had all that prepared by an attorney. It was Joel West prepared them for us, pro bono, for the good of the trail. And John here has had an opportunity to review them. So I don't know what other due diligence we can do. I mean, we're doing the best we can here on our end.
I totally agree. The problem's not you or with the attorney's preparation. The problem with me is that I've not had enough I've not taken the opportunity to review it sufficiently. It's my problem.
Okay.
What if we made a motion to pass it pending your review of them? I mean, that way we could give
That's fine with me.
could we do like a motion to approve pending?
John, did you have any issues with the agreements?
I didn't have it. I was just seeing if they were in your packet already. But no, I recall reading them. They were legally sufficient to do what he wants to do with them.
No additions or no additions, omissions, or anything else to
Not
that?
from what I read, no.
On that property, was it still gave access to property owners just to use it for field access and all that? Is that
Property, the strip of property that we intend or would like to use is actually between the access road and the railroad. And we would provide, you know, they would maintain access to their property, absolutely. For farm equipment, I mean, we got all the, you know, semi-turning radiuses, combine width, we've got all that accounted for. And we've discussed this with both landowners.
What kind of motion do you need, Les? Permission?
I just need a commitment because we're getting ready to undertake a big process here. I need to know that you all are in agreement with this, with what we're doing. And I think that'll take us to the next step. But we need to actually, I mean, once we get, assuming we get your signatures, then we gotta track down the landowners and it's hard to come up with some of these people, you know, in their busy seasons. It's just a logistical challenge to get all this done. So.
How could we do that?
And I understand due process. I mean, we have to go through this process. I agree.
I mean, yeah, I think what RJ was proposing is that the three of you agree that you're going to sign it pending Britton's review of it and not finding anything that he objects to.
Okay, would we have to have another meeting to do that, or once we hear from him,
No,
we just tell him?
you're already saying we're going to sign this, just
Subject to review.
Yeah, subject to review.
So after he reviews it, he gets with us, we'll call you and say, okay, do that way, right? John?
Yeah, that would be sufficient.
That way they're, give them a little time to look at it.
Well,
So, you got a motion?
What would be to approve, what would you want to call it, the VTA proposal, VTA contract to take over land?
To assume ownership to take ownership of land and to become the applicants for.
But really, we need that description of that land.
It's in your letters.
they've sent that to us.
Yeah.
Whether it's in here or not, doesn't matter. They've sent it to us. Subject to, you know,
It's actually an attachment to the letter.
we'll accept the properties. I think the motion will be in such a manner that we will accept the properties subject to review and support the project through its grant requirements.
So, and be clear that you will be signing the application, not only the options to purchase, but the application for the grant.
Correct.
And then we will do all the work for you.
And we understand that the funding is already in place as far as VTA has the funds in place, and then the grant covers the 80%, the remainder of the monies to be allocated.
And virtually everything is pending on the, you know, the grant.
Sure.
We may or may not get it.
So
We're
is that-
moving forward, it's a good project, it's a good plan.
So is that your version of a motion?
I make a motion, I don't know if I should do it, but I'll make a motion that we, subject to review, we approve and accept the properties as provided by VTA, the two nondescript properties. And that we support the project. Help me.
That you would become the applicant for the grant.
Say that again?
That you would become the applicant.
And
for
the
grant.
applicant for the grant. That's, can you put that motion together for me?
Pending your review too.
Yeah, pending commissioner.
Pending your review.
Second, I'll
Pending review.
second, I'll second that motion.
You got a second?
Boy, I hope you write that better than I said it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
And we hope to pull off another successful project. Just a couple little quick updates and then I'll sit down. We have, what day, Lynn, they put the signs up on the trail?
They put them up last Thursday.
So go to Trailhead Park, check out the new signs. The sign at the entrance to the trail. We still have one sign in the shed there that needs to go up that indicates the end of the trail. And at this point in time, until we can move on beyond the county property, that sign will go at where the county property stops. And that will give us about, just a shade, I'm thinking about 3,000 feet of trail, shade over half a mile of trail that will be open and ready for use. It is being used now, but then it will be officially open. And we are going to be talking among ourselves, and our plan, our hope is to have a grand opening. We'll invite you all to it and have an official opening of the trail.
I got a question for Mark O'Hare. Is there any type of response plan we should have with this trail going into operation?
Well, wherever the trail is, you know, there's different places in the county that have parts of this trail, and that falls underneath different fire departments and the sheriff's department and stuff like that in their ad system. So I believe the plan already exists. It's not a written plan, it's a system. As far as, you know, say somebody at the end of a 3-mile trail breaks their leg, there is equipment in the county to go down the trail and pick them up medically and bring them back.
Okay.
Well, we've had a lot of discussion with different, you know, fire departments and so forth about how we can help them get side-by-sides or, you know, four-wheelers or Rangers, you know, those types of equipment to be you know, responding to situations like that. We don't have the means to do that at this point, but, you know, if you have a need, I think we all know that you can look and eventually find the money to supply that need.
And you're close to the sheriff's department.
We are close to the sheriff's department.
I think this what we're going through right now is an important aspect of that, being able to continue that on through to provide those services if we need them, emergency services along the trail, because we can't get across the bridge necessarily at Montezuma to be able to access that trail, so we do need a connection with the remainder of it anyway. So
We need to get that sign up too. There's a sign up there.
Well, yes,
at the
sir.
beginning of the trail.
That's right. There's also a sign at the end of the Montezuma Bridge, at the very beginning of our current project, that tells about Vermillion Trails Alliance, tells about the project, your project, and it tells about what our plans are going forward. Even makes reference to the 3-county loop that we envision.
Okay.
So that's my updates. Any
We
questions?
did a grant. We got a grant.
Yeah, we got a grant. We got, yeah, great, thanks, Lynn. We got a $20,000 grant from the Community Foundation to put in, well, partially to pay for the signage that I just referred to, but also to put in the Storybook Trail at Trailhead Park. I'm talking about a paved asphalt trail. It'll be the Storybook Trail and also the Indiana Native Tree Trail. They will be, I mean, we've got all the trees, we'll have all the storybooks all aligned there. And that trail, I think in total length, is probably about 1,000 feet. It's a very nice thing for families. And we think that there is going to be money in that, we hope, to provide ADA access, handicap access to the shelter. One of the picnic tables in the shelter is handicap accessible.
I like what you did on the picnic tables, are that, it's just one big table, isn't it, or did I see it some
Two
places?
picnic tables.
Together in it.
Yep,
Hard to steal.
yep. And one of them, you can roll a wheelchair right up to it and be seated. So we're wanting to get from the parking lot to that, also on asphalt. So we're very excited to have the support of the Community Foundation. We just keep getting new partners.
Says 1,000 people, approximately how wide it is, and I won't ask you more questions.
I think either 5 or 6 feet.
It's 6 feet.
6 feet. Other questions?
Is that 40,000, are you say on that?
20,000. Thank you.
Yep. Next is jail renovation.
We're ready to make awards, subject to financing. I'd like to, and how would you like to proceed? I would like to name all these awards, and then we can vote on them as a single entity, or we can do them individually, at your pleasure. The awards are for the 15 bid packages that we went out for, and I received back all but one for electrical that is still being negotiated and under consideration. These constitute the entire project, minus soft costs anyway. As
Will we
far
have
as
to have another
construction and
meeting to
trades.
approve the electrical also, or can we do that today pending?
We can't approve the electrical yet, we don't. We have a number of space holder for it, but we're not ready to enter into that agreement at this point.
So we'll have to have that have to be done in another meeting.
We can probably do it in the next regularly scheduled meeting. I don't think electrical.
Special meeting or something, we can get it done quick if need be.
If we need to, we can go to
Okay.
special meetings, sure.
And I do have an update on that. Brenda and I are working together just to alleviate any suspicion of any impropriety. I've asked the 2 invited bidders to turn in their bids to the auditor's office Friday at 2. That way we will open them. We'll open those both in front of the participants, and then it's not necessarily a bid opening like we had May the 18th, but it's just an opportunity to open those in a public setting with some verification of what those numbers are, rather than, you know, submit those in private and, you know, have any issues related to what those bid numbers are. So we'll just do that very informally, but as I said, we'll just bring those in, open them up in front of both the participants, and then we'll know right then and there.
We'll have to take some time to review them still, or would the decision made be that day?
I mean, I would take less than 24 hours for me to review those.
So do we need to schedule another meeting a couple days after that to approve it, so it's all done?
I don't believe it's that time critical for electrical, but.
It's not. You
Okay.
could wait until your next meeting, which
Till the
is
next
the
meeting.
22nd.
Okay.
It's 22nd, yeah.
You want to read these off, or you want to say the lump sum, or what do you want to do?
No, we need to make the awards, either we do them individually or we do them as a package. I would prefer to read them in the award too. Again, this is subject to financing, and then we can vote on them as a collective.
You okay with that, RJ?
That's fine.
Okay. Bid package number 1, general trades to Grunlow Construction. Total contract price of $2,108,000. Bid package 2, site development, and bid package number 16, site water to Geyser Excavating. And this also includes alternative number 6 and alternative number 7. Alternative number 6 is an increase of the 4-inch line that we would require to a 6-inch line, of which will be paid by the RISE. Alternative number 7 is $21,500 addition, and that addition is for the Hillsdale connection to provide the secondary water supply for the jail. The total contract price for bid package number 2 and bid package number 16 is $649,500. Bid package number 3, masonry, to Wansky Masonry and Builders for $1,882,000. Bid package number 4, structural and miscellaneous steel, to Waukegan Steel, $599,000. Bid package number 5, roofing, Horning Roofing, $479,870. Bid package number 6, metal studs, drywall, and acoustic ceilings, Strode Construction, $362,760. Bid package number 7, painting, Anthony Anderson, $282,000. Bid package number 8, flooring and ceramic tile, Jack Lowry Group, $94,430. Bid package number 9, detention equipment, Poly Jail, $5,146,000. Bid package number 10, kitchen equipment, C&T Design and Equipment, $305,028. Bid package 11, fire protection, automatic fire sprinkler, $270,000. Bid package 12, mechanical and plumbing, A&R Mechanical, $4,196,785. Bid package number 13 is electrical, which is outstanding. Bid package number 14, PMB, MSI Construction, this is the building, $636,000. Bid package number 15, site paving, Milestone of Indianapolis, $182,200. Those are the hard costs for bid packages, and I make a motion that we award these packages for the stated dollar contract amount, subject to financing.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We have one other soft cost, was Patriot Engineering and Environmental. This is for the material testing. This is for a price not to exceed of $22,138. Entertain a motion to approve that to Patriot Engineering and Environmental Incorporated.
You have a second?
You make that motion.
I make a motion that we approve it,
Okay.
subject to financing as well.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
For an update, I believe the latest cost for the jail, total project cost at this point is $26,840,000. And it works out to be right around $560.77 a square foot, give or take. We've already discussed the water agreement. That's all I have for the jail.
Your water agreement, you okay on that?
That's what we were talking about, subject to changing the, I'm fine with the agreement,
Okay.
subject to the change of the time frame for notification of discontinuing of service.
Okay. Anybody else got any question about jail renovation? We're moving on. When supposedly that we'd probably have this for bid now? I mean, what date are we looking at now?
For
Bid date now, are we looking at?
the electrical,
You ought to
That-
come up to this podium if you would.
No, for the total bid, when you think we'll
we'll
be able to have the award, awarded start? I mean, are we getting close to?
What I really need is financing.
Okay.
And we can do that one of two ways. The bond sale, I believe, is not scheduled until the end of July. In order to start prior to the end of July, you can approve financing with cash, in which case we can identify some critical contracts and we can write those with a maximum indebtedness clause. So in other words, instead of the $4,196,000 to A&R, we can write that as for $4,196,000, but only approve that they spend $500,000 in order to get us started. And we can do that across multiple bid packages in order to get started prior to the sale of bonds. But I believe you cannot legally write contracts, or I cannot legally write contracts. You cannot enter into those agreements until financing is in place.
Okay.
What your approval today allows me to do is write intent to award subject to financing to all of the contractors, and we can then begin to procure materials and get submissions. It does give us a little bit of a head start prior to the sale of bonds.
The early date that we may have that bond sale is July 15th, and the late date is August 1st at this point, of which financing would be available by the 16th. The 16th of August is the date in which our bids are no longer, after that date, they're no longer valid. They would have to be either rebid, or they would have to agree to an extension in time at that point. But it appears that we will, between July 15th and August 1st, we'll have that bond sale, and funding will be available pending what the council decides to do. And their meeting is next Monday, I believe, on the 14th. We'll also be looking to the council to appropriate our cash monies at this time, assuming that they agree with the project, in order that we can go ahead and begin our project on time of the first week in July, and being able to start things. If we do not, it costs us dearly for every day that we go beyond our schedule. So it's, I think it's prudent that we continue to move forward, and hopefully the council will see fit to provide what cash funds are available to us at that point in time, or after the next week, basically, or the following meeting, I guess.
Is the jail consistently on the agenda all the time for council now, right? Stays on there, correct?
It is, it's going to be on there from now on.
Okay, but next question is, since it's doing a specific, I mean, should that be, instead of just saying jail on the, for the council, should it say the financing? You know what I'm saying?
I think they have to.
It should be, I mean, like when
The
you do
agenda
something
is
like
just
that.
an idea of what's going to be discussed. It's not,
Yeah, I think Ashley said they have to advertise that, so I think she said they can discuss it at the next meeting.
they have a 10-day period,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
They have to advertise. Are you talking about the council, or are you talking about the
Council.
commission?
Council, yeah.
No.
I'm saying that you're going to the council for funding, right? That's where we're going. I think that needs to be put on the, specified on the, that instead of just jail.
I think she will.
Because it's a big decision, and people can't say we covered this through.
It's money that I have to put in the paper. I have to have an amount that you're requesting if you're asking for a certain amount of money. It has to be done 10 days before the meeting.
Monday's discussion is to apprise them of where they're at, and then after Monday, they will either,
Okay.
they'll decide what they're going to fund at that point, and then the advertisement will start depending on what their decision is. And so that dollar amount, I don't know what it is right now that they're going to approve, but we'll be making a recommendation to them on Monday.
Do you also need to make a motion or approve the funding for the temporary dispatch trailer situation that we discussed yesterday? Just for everyone's information, the trailer, there will be a temporary trailer on the project site for use for the sheriff's office and for dispatch will be run out of there as well. There will be a secondary trailer that will be used for the sheriff's storage, access for him. Both of those are obviously a critical component to the sheriff and dispatch moving out, and the sheriff and I had discussed making that trailer available so that we could get the hookups, the fiber, the telephone, everything secured in that trailer and tested prior to when we needed to move. And we had discussed possibly the week of June the 14th, if that can happen. That's obviously next week, to have those trailers delivered and for us to begin that process.
John, you can advise us differently, but I don't believe that we can, we have sufficient funds to do that now, but I don't think there needs to be a motion to this
Okay,
effect.
but if you're going to.
Let me complete my thought here.
Okay.
I don't believe that we need to make a motion. This is part of the budgetary costs that's already in our program. And so we have monies available to it. The question is whether it's appropriate to spend those monies at that time, at this time. And I think that's going to be dependent upon what the council approves next week, whether we have a project going forward or what they're going to do, whether they curtail it, approve it, or pass on it, whatever the case may be. So until next week, I don't think it's prudent to move forward with that. Once we find out what the council's motion or where they're going, then we can allocate the monies accordingly. I think you already have that in your budget to do that. It's just a matter of us saying proceed.
Okay. Anything else for me? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next up is the ambulance service, ambulance contract, or ambulance service, or?
I was mistaken. Baker Tilly does have the capability of doing this. The last firm that I approached in Terre Haute, I don't recall their name right off, would not be able to do it in a timely manner for us to be able to use it for our budgetary purposes, and then also for the decision whether the contract is to be continued or the council will fund it. So right now we're in the process of getting an agreement from Baker Tilly, and I've not received that agreement as of this date. So hopefully today I'll receive that. We'll have to discuss it at the next meeting. So.
And that's an audit?
It's an audit of their books to say that it's an appropriate tool, or that they're charging appropriately and the county is paying appropriately at this point. So it's provide a comfort level that we're getting the services that we request and that we're paying a reasonable amount of money for those services as well, and that they're making a reasonable return on their investment as far as the ambulance service is concerned.
When is the date of that contract that has to be renewed?
September, I don't have it in front of me here, September 19th comes to, but it has to be agreed by that time. That means the council has to approve the funding at that point. The current contract, and we'll have to discuss this at ongoing discussion, I guess. Right now, the contract says something to the effect that the agreement is subject to the council's the financing by the council, approval by the council to finance that third ambulance. It doesn't say what happens if they don't do that. So that's something that we're going to have to consider going forward. First thing I think is to get Baker Tilly, or get our audit complete and find out where we stand as far as the monies are concerned. But that's an ongoing discussion at this point. I do believe that the agreement needs to be rewritten.
Do you want it on the next meeting then?
It'll be a continual.
Okay, let's leave it
I'm
on.
not sure when Baker Tilly. I've not gotten their time frame, their costs, or their agreement yet. You know, we can bring it up again next meeting.
Okay.
But
Anybody got any comments on the ambulance service? If not, we'll move on. Road cut ordinance.
I think it'd be listed as ongoing too, wouldn't it?
that is, I've provided the first chapter, if you will, of that for everybody to, I'm not receiving any comments back on that chapter yet. It's something that you'll have to, you have to sit and read. It's technical, more technical than most things that we would do. With everything else going on, I've not gotten to the second or the third part.
I haven't given it a thought either myself.
Yeah. But anyway, it's an ongoing thing. We do have our ordinance in place currently, so that one is what we're working with. This is going to be a work in progress. Also, it's going to be a change for the community, for contractors, for our superintendents, our foremen at the offices. We know that there's people will need guidance as we go through this, and so we're going to work through this for the next, I would say it'd probably be 6 months to a year, somewhere in that time frame, where it's going to be a little flexible, and we'll be able to work with the contractors and or the homeowners or whoever's making the application for road cuts or driveway permits, et cetera, until we get it pinned down to exactly what the ordinance will say at that point in time. So there are certain requirements that we're wanting to be able to build onto our inventory and for what we're being able to do and be able to maintain and to be able to own and require for future permits and road cuts and driveway permits, et cetera.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business. Anything else going to say about that? Road cut permit, Ed Kenizer.
I have a question before Ed starts here. Are we going to approve every road cut at these meetings, or is this something that if they're meeting a standard that they'll be able to work out with our foremen?
Well,
Or
I
is
think
this something
it
we're
says
gonna
that the highway superintendent and the commissioner can grant it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Driveway. I
Permit
think it
can be
says
done by
that,
highway
but I'm not
super-
sure about the road cuts. I don't recall. But is this something we're going to continue to, for every road cut, to bring it in front of these
I think it
meetings?
says that in our
ordinance.
ordinance, unless we want to interpret it where it says, submit same to the Vermillion County Board of, unless it's something we could just approve administratively, via.
Well, unless they're asking for a variance from what we're asking
Yeah.
for, I don't know that needs to be coming forth in
That's
front
what I
of the
was-
commissioners every time.
Yeah.
Unless there's a variance or there is a.
As long as they've
or we
met all
deny-
the,
If we deny it, then I think they would have the opportunity to come and,
as long as they've met all the criteria that we've asked for.
So should we give it to each commissioner that is whatever district it's in and have them take a look at it?
well, that's kind of where I was going.
Yeah, I
with
was
this.
gonna, because if you met everything, not sure that they need to come in and sit through one of our 2 hours before we get to you.
That's all right.
Yeah, you ain't got anything to do,
I
Ed.
need no rest. Thank you.
But anyway, we can continue, but I just
I kinda
think
think
that's.
So just get it to each.
I think that would be prudent between that and the foreman. I think they could.
And if there's a question or if there's a denial, then they can come in for the
Before the-
commissioners to do that, or if there's some variance to that.
Yeah.
It says here the permittee shall have the permit complete with drawings. How technical or how much do we want in these drawings? Is it okay, just we get the engineer to do the drawing, I think it's something that's feasible for a regular road cut.
Well, this is something that we're moving forward. That's why I
saying
say
right
we're
now.
going to have to build on this, and the community's going to have to build on this as we get to finally to a complete ordinance on our road conditions, period, or our highway department for that matter. What Ed provided, like, let's just take Ed for example, since he's here. What he provided was that he went to an engineer and asked them to provide a hydraulic study, hydrology, to size the culvert. What was missing though in there was that we didn't know what the culvert size, well, it did give a size. It didn't show how the engineer provided that, what conditions it was under. It doesn't say where in the road it was going to be. It doesn't say at what angle it's going to be perpendicular. It doesn't say whether there's a head wall or any type of in section or tail section to it. It doesn't say how deep it's going to be below the surface, and some other aspects as far as specifications go. That's where I say we need to work with them. Why I've sent back with our foreman, back to Ed, was to provide that information. It looks like that, I've been out there to the site, we kind of agreed, well, we did agree on where it would be. So I know where this is going. I think we're in good shape with Ed, minus we don't have the plans or the specifications, and maybe Ed has them now. But we want that information to be able to put into our inventory so that we understand exactly why it's been put in those places when 10 years go down the road.
Did you get this?
I did.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So the
So
question-
what I'd like to do with Ed in this case would be to go ahead and approve his, subject to him providing the plans and the typical section of what he's putting in. So that's why I say we need to work with people, and then Ed next time will know that he needs every single thing here that we're asking for, which we not actually put in writing to anybody except I gave it to Ed in writing.
So, question is, we need to,
One thing we're gonna have to change, Tim, instead of 21 inch, we gotta go to the 31
I noticed there was a difference on
by
there.
15 inch elliptical, which is even better, we get more cover on it.
So
Got
21.
2/3 by half inch corrugations on it, Brent.
You see, this is all the information that, the other thing that we're going to eventually go into is have area planning look at whether they want to check off on it or not. We'll have our drainage board look at it because it does affect drainage, have them check off on it, and eventually the commissioners will check off on it once, or whether it's the commissioners or the foreman or county engineer, whoever we have
The
in place at that
property
time.
is all farm agriculture, it's never had an address sign to it. It's out there, part of the old Lawrence Hood place. John, your dad's probably familiar with Lawrence Hood, used to work for Robinson.
Have to ask him. I'm not personally.
Next door to Tony Natale.
Okay.
You know where that
I know
is.
what you're talking about.
This Brad Berkelot bought this property, what, 4 or 5 months ago. I've been 3 months trying to get this permit. He's wanting to build a house there. When the county came through there, who knows when, 1800s, they built the road up about 3 foot high. Never did put a pipe under it. And the reason why, it's highly permeable soil. When it rains, the water lay there, day later it's gone. But this guy doesn't want any water in his yard, he's gonna build a new house there.
So
I
you're
make
putting sand back in and compacting it at 95%, right?
What?
Putting sand backfill and compacting it at
I'll
95%.
get 95 at least.
Then you're saying you're putting 6 inches of 53. You're doing
stone.
53 road pack, or you're doing 53?
Stone, white rock.
I know, but some of it is 53 road pack stone. That's why I was wondering. You know what I'm saying? The 53, you got 53. You got 53, it's just 53, you got 53 road pack white rock.
Yeah.
No, we always.
It's better, that's why I've drove for you, but I'm saying that. 53 road pack white rock.
Well, this isn't something we need to be discussing at a commissioners
I know.
meeting.
Just looking through it.
Mine
What I would,
says 53 stone.
Yeah, it's fine.
what I might suggest is that I would like to make a motion to approve Ed's road cut at this meeting and leave the remainder of the technical to the District 1 garage or the foreman.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you. What do we need now? Just the bond?
I didn't see your bond here.
Uh-uh,
I didn't see a bond.
Oh, we don't need a bond?
Yeah, no, you
I
need a
thought we
bond.
did.
You need a bond. You need a bond. I said I didn't see one here with your paperwork.
What this is going to
well.
be subject to is that you'll have a responsibility for 1 year to the project as if there's an issue with the,
I called
with
him
that.
yesterday.
And after a year, the county will accept the project into its inventory.
So we can get our permit and start construction as soon as you get the bond, right?
Right, you need to talk with District 1 Highway Foreman, Mike Click.
I'll go down.
$2,500 bond.
Well, it should be on my other phone in the truck. I left that one in the truck. They were saying that, so if it is, I'll bring it up and.
$2,500 bond.
Okay, yeah.
He has a 1 year responsibility for the installation. Thereafter, the county will take over the,
But before I can get him out of here, I need a completion date.
Next, we got, we ready to move on?
we've not discussed that.
Because we have not been.
Ann makes a good point. When does the permit expire?
When is what?
When does his permit expire?
I think it's a year.
You guys put the
They're
date,
responsible for a year.
No, he's meaning like the construction.
the completion date of the actual construction of the.
Like 45 days, 60 days, 90.
You know,
Most highway permits, transportation, NDOT type permits are good for a year usually, unless you request something less, but. And the reason for that is it takes time to plan out and actually develop things at that point. And who knows what you might run into in the meantime, but usually they have 1 year. And that's what I suggest for this, is 1 year.
1 year.
After that, the permit expires.
Okay. And so
Yeah,
going
there is-
forward, road
there is no
commissioner,
date on
area
here.
plan needs a copy, surveyor needs a copy, and then the district commissioner.
Yes.
Okay.
They should sign off on it, or at least voice their opinion
No,
at this
I
point.
agree. I just want to make sure I get it to them, because I get them.
So you're gonna put a date on it?
It'll be 1 year from today.
1 year?
1 year from today. It'll expire if he's not complete.
We'll talk some more about that. I have some more questions, but.
There's a lot of things we need to deal with that.
Okay, moving on to ISBDC programs, Courtney Chapul, is that right?
I'm going to pass these down. I know Tim and Bart, you guys got one last time, so if you don't want to take one, that's fine. But I appreciate the invitation to speak to you today, just to update you about the Small Business Development Center and what we have going on. So for those that have not heard about ISBDC, we are actually a program that is federally funded by the Small Business Administration. So there's an office like ours in every single state. In Indiana, we're under the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. And then we have different regions. We're the West Central region that serves Vigo County, Vermilion County, and 5 other counties in our region. And our local host is Indiana State University. So that is how we have the majority of our funding to provide programming. And then we have local contributors too. Vermilion County Economic Development Corporation does put into our program as well. And we take that funding and we hire business advisors to put on one-on-one counseling for businesses. And even though we're called the Small Business Development Center, we can see any business that has less than 500 employees. So in our region, that's pretty much every single business. And what we do is different based on what the presenting client needs. So a lot of times we do work with startups when they come in, helping them think through their business idea, helping them put together sales forecasting, if they need funding from a bank, or they're going to go to investors. Really, you can't underestimate the opportunity to sit down with someone that isn't your family or your friend that'll really shoot it to you straight about your business idea and help you think it through. It really does mitigate the risk before they actually do open their doors. So we really hope that the businesses that open through our assistance have a higher retention in our communities. And then we're here as a resource after people open. So it doesn't matter if they're trying to figure out how to hire their first employee, if they're thinking about exporting, if they want to look into government contracts. I don't know if you saw in the news the big announcement, unfortunately not Vermilion County, but Marion Manufacturing just got awarded a $25 million federal contract, a defense contract. And they're one of our clients that works with our sister agency called PTAC, which is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So we have really a good array of wraparound services to be able to help business owners. We work really closely with the revolving loan fund here in Vermilion County and in all of our counties that do have a revolving loan fund. We recommend that they have the applicant meet with an advisor from the ISBDC to help them with their business plan. Again, really to mitigate that risk and help them think through all the opportunities and challenges of their business. We help literally across the line. We build websites for clients, help them with their logos. I mean, we really do look for that relationship with our business owners in our community. We do that on a regular basis through our regular award. Due to COVID and the federal funds that have come down the pipeline, we have received additional funding from the CARES Act and have done a lot of response that Normally, we couldn't fund operationally for businesses, so we've done Google 360 tours. Jerry's was one of the recipients of that, which is where they actually take the photos so that when you're online looking at that restaurant, you can actually virtually walk through. So we've done programs like that. We've worked on strategic planning. Right now, and in your packet you can see we have a technical assistance program going on where we've contracted with IT experts, HR experts, bookkeeping, and then we have another fund that's kind of a one-off what somebody's needing. A good example is we just had an applicant for that wants to go retail, so they have applied for us to help them fund with all the barcoding for them to put on their products to be able to go to retail, and we're going to be able to fund that out of the CARES Act dollars. So those are the really in-depth services that we can provide to business owners that are seeking recovery assistance that can apply to us. So really when I got the opportunity to speak with you today, the main thing that I'm here to do is help spread awareness to make sure that business owners do know that we're here. I recommend that business owners get in our doors and become a client, no matter if they feel like they're struggling right now and have a challenge. We're really that source when information is coming down for opportunities or new things that we can offer that they can know about those services quickly. And no matter what a business owner takes advantage of within our service offerings, they don't pay anything ever. We will never take a dime from them. And like I said, I mean, we're working with our exporting consultant. We pay him $150 an hour, and he'll sit down with businesses and work with them on an export strategy plan. And we have that across the board in certain specialties. So we really provide a really in-depth service to Vermilion County clients that are seeking it.
This includes startups, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Even before you decide you're doing something.
Yeah, that's really when we want them in the door, is then,
Exactly.
because, I mean, a good example, I had a client that came in with their business plan, and they're in a smaller community. They're doing a restaurant, deli style, and they built their sales forecast off of an average ticket price of $20 a person. There's no way. You know what I mean? I'm a foodie, and I don't spend $20 for lunch. You know what I mean? So through having that conversation and moving it to $12 per ticket, they would have had to have 120 people walk through the door every day. It wasn't going to happen. No, that's okay. It's okay to figure it out now, because what we did then was we added catering to their business plan and talked to them about doing more catering, because then they can reach outside of their scope. But I'd much rather them figure that out in a conversation with me than open their doors and 3 to 6 months realize that their cash flow isn't there because they haven't projected in a realistic way. So it is really great for them to come to us before they get started.
So you're saying all your services are free to anybody that would seek them?
Absolutely no cost because of how we're funded.
So does Vermilion County EDC fund you guys a little bit then?
They do give $10,000 towards our program each year that contributes towards our cash match. So
And how many, oh sorry, go
it's
ahead.
okay. Just because we have a federal component, we always have to have cash match. That's why we want
Okay.
to keep these relationships.
So how long have you been assisting Vermilion County?
Oh, over 30 years.
30 years. So how many businesses, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know anything about it until
Mhm,
the other
sure.
day my dad serves on the board and said, oh yeah, there's this place out of Terre Haute
Mhm.
that'll do free things, and I
Yeah.
thought, so then I mentioned it to some other small businesses and they said
they weren't aware?
they weren't aware either. So I
Yeah.
think awareness is a big problem.
Right, right.
So when you
Mhm.
mentioned Jerry's, how many other businesses in Vermilion
Mhm.
County that are small have reached out to you?
Well, I can't give you like a number right off the top of my head if you talk about like over the last,
I'm just
30
talking like
years.
maybe within a year, last couple of years.
Well, this year because it's COVID, I did run the numbers before our last meeting, and we had 30 active Vermilion County clients. And over the last 5 years, I would say that number is more like 50.
Okay.
But it kind of depends, right? So sometimes people come in and it's a one-off. They want to know, do they need an LLC? You know, it's a very one-off situation. And then we have clients that come in and they want an existing relationship. So like we work with Brooks extensively. We work with Brooks for years.
I know several that are like, t-shirt companies
We
that,
would
I mean,
love- yeah.
when you mentioned, the logo design, that's
Mhm.
a big thing.
Yeah,
People can't
mhm.
afford, $1,000 for a
Right.
logo.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, how does the county, maybe EDC, make sure every small business is aware of this? Because this is free. That's a huge
Right.
service.
And we've done a
We
lot
used to
through
advertise
EDC.
it, But we haven't advertised it for a while. It used to be in the paper.
And we
not a lot of
have
people.
had a lot of engagement through, one of the things we did once the funding relationship started is we started a workshop series. Again, when COVID happened, we're still doing the workshops, but they're not specific to like Vermilion County because they're just through Zoom. But before that, we would come every single month and we would do workshops on Canva, which is like an online graphic design tool that we would teach business owners.
Yeah.
It's free. This is how you can use it to have a better brand. We did a half-day website workshop where people could come and bring their all their pictures and everything. We helped them develop their website like while we were there at the Vermilion County Library. Done them on banking. So, but awareness is always our issue because actually as part of our federal grant, until we just got the COVID funds, we weren't allowed to pay for advertising. Like it was against our program
Oh, really?
proposal. So we rely on our stakeholders, which is usually, it's hard to know when somebody's gonna start a business, where they're gonna go, right?
Yeah.
Are they gonna go to the bank? Are they gonna go to the local, advertising place? Are they gonna go to you guys? Like, where are they gonna go? So we try and spread that information through our stakeholders, but it gets missed, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
the t-shirt company that opens, sometimes they don't.
Well, these
go
here
to the
I'm talking
chamber.
are ones that have already been here, and I'm wanting to help them grow. And you mentioned
Yeah.
about that video with Jerry's about them like
Mhm.
applying. So is there certain services that you couldn't do for everybody?
It's not that we can't do for everybody, it's that with like the COVID services,
Mhm.
obviously we have a limited set of funds. Anybody's eligible for it, they just have to fill out, we've got kind of an online.
That's
it's
what I
an
was meaning, an application.
Yeah, mhm. Yeah, because it's just, but it's more of a, it's not a competitive thing, it's a first come, first serve when we run
Okay.
out of funds. But
That's what I was meaning, because there might
Mhm.
be, I could name 20 people,
Mhm.
restaurants-wise, that would
Mhm.
love to have that tour done,
Mhm.
but did all 20 know about it, or just did only 2 or 3?
Right,
You know?
I mean, again, and our communication efforts are limited to our stakeholders.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
actually, right now, I'm leaving to record a podcast to do it on the, on High 99.
Okay.
Because we're doing more to try and get the word out since we can now. Before, again, it was more one-on-one
So in your folder,
conversations.
you've got your information, I could hand out
You
to...
hand it out to absolutely
and be
everybody.
like,
So
hey,
Tracy Yelich is actually the Vermilion County advisor. So again, with our partnership with Vermilion County, before COVID, she actually had an office in with Lynn and would come once a week on a set day. We'll come more often if it's needed,
Mhm.
but had a dedicated day. And now that everybody's back open, we're looking at what that strategy is going to be. The other thing I want to encourage, I don't have a funding ask today, but I know with the American Rescue Plan, there is a specific item in there that is on business development and tourism. The way our program is funded from the federal and the state level, we're funded at a level that is where we have enough capacity to serve the counties that we're in. But the definition of that is when somebody from any of our counties reaches out, we have to make ourselves available to them for a meeting within 2 weeks in our area, so we're located in Terre Haute, or within a month in their area. That's what that funding is based on. So when we reach out to communities and ask for additional funding like we did with Vermilion County Economic Development Council, that was to help us fund her being here once a week. Now, if after COVID and with like those funds that are coming in, if as a county you say, hey, we want more of these services, we want it to be more available, know that we're a resource here that can facilitate that. You know, we don't have the capacity right now to facilitate that as far as people, but with additional funding through the federal programming, we absolutely could onboard, and we have the infrastructure to deliver those services. Because again, from the backing from the state, I mean, we have so much access to, like we pay for Live Plan for our clients, which is an online business planning tool, so where they don't have to pay for it. We have market research tools that we can access for them. So there's really no reason whatsoever to replicate programming, more backing programming that is already here, that we could tailor make to what you see your challenges are in Vermilion County. So once you get to those discussions and understand those regulations more on how you want to deploy the funds that have come out, if business development becomes a priority, please keep us in mind that we could be the infrastructure for that.
I know you made a presentation at our Economic Development Board meeting next time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Economic Development could figure out a way to get more aggressive in getting your word out about
Sure.
to the local businesses. Maybe we can put it on the agenda for next meeting to address that.
Another thing is, one way we could be more aggressive, and the way I think, if I'm the director and if I had the resources to do it, what I would like to do is more outbound marketing, knocking on doors, to be truthful. If we had the capacity right now, we're able with our current staff to meet the needs of those knocking on our door. We don't have enough staff to go knock on other people's doors. We just don't. I'm full-time, but I serve in an administrative capacity, so I can't do as much counseling. Tracy is 3/4 time, 30 hours a week. And then we have a couple of other advisors that are ad hoc. So just as we need them, like we have a Spanish-speaking advisor that we've brought on to be able to meet the needs of our Hispanic community. We have a CPA and we have a COVID advisor to be able to meet the needs as well. But that doesn't allow us the time to come and actively reach out to people, and that's where we would get that awareness side. The SBA just launched a new program called Community Navigators that was specifically meant to take these resources and make sure more rural businesses are aware of them. We are applying for that funding. The state is applying for that funding because you can apply under 2 tiers. The state itself is applying, but then our region through Indiana State University is also going to proceed with an application. It's $1 million. And we would be looking for someone in Vermilion County to receive part of that funding to help get the word out and knock on doors. So hopefully that would come, but that would be to me what we would need to do if there was the availability funding wise to do that.
For every dollar spent on your department, what is the return to the county? What do you forecast that return to be?
I don't have county specific numbers. They run those numbers at the state. And at the state level, then what they look at it is by jobs. And for every dollar spent, we created 100 jobs out of our state. I could get county numbers for you. I'd be happy to do that and run some numbers for you over the last couple of years.
Send that to
yeah.
me. I appreciate it.
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Any phone call that comes into economic development that has anything to do with small business, they go directly to Indiana Small Business.
Yeah, we
work very closely
from our
together.
stakeholder perspective, we do great, and we have those referrals, and we have confidence from our stakeholders. To your point is, I don't know that somebody starting a t-shirt company is like, let me call economic development, right? And if they don't need a loan, they don't go to the bank. And if they don't want to join the chamber, they don't find out about us from the chamber. So that's where more that mass marketing, is more helpful. And so we have been doing more on social media. We've been doing more of that. But again, I think honestly, it's just more people knowing and people like yourself that when somebody says, hey, I want to start this, what do I need to do at the county level? You can say, oh, we'll start with ISBDC. And we did get, and I spoke about this at that board meeting, we did get funds to start a West Central Business Hub, and that is where we're going to try and push all resources that are available for business owners. So the problem with like our website is it's state ran, so we don't have that much control over what we can put on there. So this website will be for our office, but other entities that support entrepreneurs that we can keep up to date. And one of the aspects we have in there is there will be a page specific to each county to help break down the regulations, because that's a hard thing too, because to start a food truck in Vermilion County is different than Vigo County and what you have to have, if there's a mobile permit required or not. So we're going to be that resource to break that down for business owners. And then the hope is that instead of marketing the chamber, marketing our office, marketing economic development, that kind of as a region, we start to market this West Central Business Hub so that people do go to it more frequently. So someone will be contacting the vendor for that we've hired is RJL Solutions. So someone from their organization will be reaching out to the county, probably the recorder's office, I don't know what all the area planning, and helping to decipher what those needed permits and regulations are that we can then publicly put on this website so people have a better idea of what they need to do.
Any other questions? We'll move on to our next. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
your service.
You helping spread the word.
Leroy Kelsheimer, Commissioner's Deed.
That's where I believe you were out of town last year, Harry and Tim. Close an alley, it runs right. I own both sides of the property, and need to get that deeded over to me so I can get my home loan closed.
Dave, you did all the procedure of advertising and...
Yep. That was all given to Harry and Tim last year.
It was done at the last year. He just didn't finish the end.
The end of it. There's a lot of county alleyways running through people's properties all throughout the...
Oh, I know.
Including mine. I had to do mine last year.
Right.
I don't have any issues with it. Especially like you said, if you need a loan or anything, you have to have those closed.
Right.
This was already decided last year, the
Yes.
paperwork just wasn't.
Yeah.
So
And this is
The
the
auditor's office sent me the papers, I took them to who did my title search, and they
What's
sent them
the,
back to me.
what's the issue with the alley? I didn't see it in my packet, and so I'm not familiar with this.
It's in your packet.
It may be, I don't remember seeing it.
What's the issue with it?
Yeah, what's the issue with the alley? What,
Well,
are you?
I bought the 12 lots to build a new home.
Uh-huh.
I come up here, I did the advertising, come up in front of Tim and Harry, it was closed by them. I thought that was it. And I asked them in that meeting, I said, so I can continue with my house. Right now, there's a 3,600 square foot home sitting in that alley.
Well, that's an issue, isn't
Yeah.
But it was.
I mean, everything.
It was approved under the previous
It
administration.
looked like a jungle when I bought it. I went in and cleared it off after we bought it. I mean, there's no way. At the south end of it, there's a pole barn built right on the alley. Been there for years.
On the paperwork that they submit, it says that they have to come in front of the commissioners, get it approved, and then they have to go and bring back the paperwork for the ordinance, and that part wasn't done.
Why wasn't it done?
That's it's on the taxpayer to do it. They have to go get a deed made and do the
I
ordinance.
took all the paperwork that I
He
was
didn't-
sent
He didn't do.
to the people that had done the title search before I bought the property.
but it
They
didn't-
couldn't get Hannah to do it, so they sent it all back to me. And I just forgot about it because I was trying to get this house done. You know, I'm not gonna be gone and have people on my property working. You know, I was there every day.
so all that's left
Planning
is
here? Does area planning have anything to say about that, or the zoning people?
I would imagine
Well,
if
this was already advertised, and you went
Yep.
to the proper with.
Yes, I
with-
did.
with
I
the
brought them,
zoning.
I give them all the paperwork where I put it in the paper, everything.
Yeah.
It's probably involved last
And
year.
that was
but
done
I
last
wasn't
year.
involved or this
I think it was
because
July
done
28th of last
I
year.
looked up the meeting notes.
Because I asked the commissioners if I could continue with my house because they knew right where it was gonna go.
so we just need, so the ordinance is all that needs to be done.
And then you have to do the deed.
I don't see any issue with it. I don't know if anybody else does.
Well, the thing about it is, it was pre-approved in previous administration,
I think if everybody checks their property deeds, they'll see that they have county alleyways running through a lot of people's property that they don't even realize.
but you
until
owned on
they-
both sides. too.
Well, huh?
You owned on both sides of it anyway, right?
Yes.
I assume there's no utilities,
With-
there's no utilities or anything using the alley since you've built across it now?
There never has been.
That's why, man.
Or no, you
nothing
built your
there.
house over it.
Huh?
You built your house over it, right?
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-7 by title, ordinance to vacate public alley.
I second it. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay.
I'm not apprised of it enough to be able to make a good vote. Did you? There's only been one aye, I heard.
Do what?
Did you say aye?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'll say aye again. So make sure. So it's approved.
Going forward on these, if they do not bring them back within a timely manner for the ordinance, should we make them re-advertise and do everything? I mean, what I'm asking is it's kind of putting me in a pickle when they don't finish the
Come back.
end, then I have to come in front
Well,
of.
that's something we need to address if we want to put a time limit on them once they, to make this.
Well, so they can follow through with
Why
it.
Right, because they have to go and get a deed from an
Yeah.
attorney to bring back for us to do. When you vacate the alley, we have to have a new deed.
I'll have to look into it. I don't know enough about it
Okay.
yet. For me, you guys may know what you want to do with this.
But I don't think they should be able to hold it forever without
Yeah.
a time limit.
There's issues with recording and everything else,
Yep.
but anyway.
What would you recommend?
That we put a time limit.
I know, but
How many
Time-wise.
days?
Or how many
15 days?
weeks, how many months?
I say 15 days after you guys have your thing done, they get 15 days after that. I mean, there's a time limit when, because we do the vacating of the alley, we do it after they bring the deed in, and then it has to be recorded, and then we have to change it in the system, so
So what are you recommending? Tell us what you're recommending.
15 to 30 days.
That,
They need to have that, the last part, after you approve it, they have to have the deed and everything done.
I think this is something we need to,
discuss.
yeah, this is more than just a
Yeah.
off-the-cuff discussion, I think. Or it
Let's
seems like it.
put that down to discuss further, maybe next meeting. We're gonna move on to Clark Dietz. Where's Clark Dietz? They're not here today, but Britt, you got that covered, don't you? Bridge 15?
Yeah.
Or you have it, one of you guys have it?
Is that in here?
Yeah, I think there's two of them in there.
Two of them here.
It could be for the community crossings and for bid 15. Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Vermillion County Community Crossing Bid Administration and award that to Clark Dietz according to the professional services agreement as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? We're dealing with two items here, correct? At once?
Yeah, this one's, they're different items.
Okay. With the community crossing grant, it's for them to take care of the bid procedure, bidding out of the community crossing grant project. That's one of them, and that's for $7,500. And
Bridge 15.
Yeah.
for $7,500.
Yeah, the first one's 7,500. They need to be kept separate though. They're two different topics.
And what all are they going to do? They're going to oversee, they're going to submit for the, accept the bids and
What we're,
award.
yeah, from what I understand, what we're required with community crossings is that we've been allocated monies now. We have, I don't know if we received funding yet, have we? Or, but we've been approved for whatever, 1,300,000 and some odd thousand. With that, we need to go out for bids in order to allocate those monies out. And so we need to have that administered and properly done so that we have the bids in and that we award those bids accordingly. And so that's what this does, is go through that process similar to what we do with Garmong, but it's a bid administration.
But it's mainly just with the bidding and awarding the bids, and that's it?
That's all it is for community crossings, yes. It doesn't carry any further than that.
And the second one is for engineering on the bridge up north, right?
Yeah, that has to do with Bridge 15 over Gin Creek and Rangeline Road, on Rangeline Road.
And it is somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 or something like that?
Well, for them, it's 6,300. The bridge itself, we don't have bids back yet, so there's not, this is for the, going out for bids through our emergency action that we had last time. This here is for Clark Dietz to do all that.
You're talking about down at Universal Bridge?
Correct.
Okay.
But this is a separate matter. There's a motion right now for the Crossroads.
Community crossing.
Well, this will be second, but not,
Okay.
we're not discussing that yet.
You make a motion for the...
Already motioned and second.
You second. Discussion's none. We already had a discussion, right?
That's what
All
we're
in favor?
doing. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Start on your next one then.
Okay, the next one is for Clark Dietz. It's for Bridge 15, Rangeline Road over Gin Creek. This is where an individual lost control, went over the bridge, took out a portion of the bridge. We're down to one lane right now, and it's blocked off. This is a heavily used road by hog slats, and then also by the road by gravel companies, Road Rock, anyway. We have heavy loads that go across this. It's been placed as an emergency action. This is for $6,300 for the inspection that they did for the damage, for the plan development, and then the post-construction inspection following the reconstruction of the bridge.
So you developed the plans for the bidding, for the people bidding on it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I make a motion that we approve the professional service agreement to Clark Dietz for $6,300 for the administration of the Bridge 15 over Range Line Road in Gin Creek.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, last on the agenda is Baker Tilly Financials.
No, they're not here. This is the discrepancy, the proposal. You don't have any answers back from me from that.
We have a proposal from Baker Tilly. It's an open-ended agreement that assesses certain wages. Even within those categories, the wages have a considerable range between them for each category. They've not necessarily identified who is going to be working on the project, and there is no amount not to exceed. It's basically open-ended at this point in time. I had a question to Baker Tilly about those two issues anyway. I'm comfortable with Baker Tilly, but I'm not comfortable with signing an open-ended agreement, and also without knowing who's going to be working on the project, given the wide range, and we're in a considerable wide range between even those categories of whoever's working on it, between the directors all the way down to interns. But each one of those categories is substantial. At this point, I guess I'm not willing to sign the agreement. I just don't think it's a fair agreement for the county at this point. It opens the barn door, and who knows who's coming in or going out.
Now, this can affect your funding for the jail.
So you want to put it on Jennifer next?
Well, I'm not sure. Yes, it affects the funding for the jail, yes. But not because of the cost, but because...
No.
And everybody understands what they're doing with this. This is for rectification of the accounts that we have. There's a discrepancy between the bank accounts and the auditor's accounts, and so...
Back from 2017.
It goes, well, at least
16.
2000. Okay.
So...
You'll have to come up and talk. But anyway... there's a discrepancy. I don't know if we need to get into the minutiae of that yet, because I'm not sure we know the total essence of that. But this is an agreement for them to assist the treasurer and auditor in rectifying those accounts, or the reconciliation of the books.
But this situation we have here has to be dealt with by a certain time, right? Because it's going to affect the jail financing.
They've already started the work ahead of time, from what I understand, and this is where we're looking at an early bond. It affects our bonds because we have a discrepancy in the accounts. The Standard & Poor ratings could be affected by that. And with that, once they reconcile the books, then they can go back. It seems like it's in favor of the county so far. We've not accounted for monies that we apparently have.
It actually started in 2016, and we've identified the issues. We know how to fix it. We've talked to the State Board of Accounts. That's who we have to answer to. They said you do not need our permission to fix it. Now, Lau will be out tomorrow. We know how to fix it. Justin has actually identified several areas that need improvement in the system, or this never would have happened. Because when it started, on the cash book side, you have control of everything, and then on the other side, it shows that it balances. When it doesn't, it clearly doesn't balance. So we don't feel that we need Baker Tilly, but you may feel that you need them to go back and try to find this. We've already found it, we know how to fix it, we know what it was, but you can't go back to 2016 and fix it. You have to fix it now. So I'm not sure.
So the situation, if you found the error or what was wrong, then
we know exactly what happened.
Then Baker Tilly would not really, for them to certify it now, would it be a much easier thing for to do with the information
I
they
would
have?
think so.
So that's one of the questions I have.
How
Yeah, Baker Tilly's not said anything to that effect, that I've not heard from
This
them.
just happened yesterday.
Okay.
We've been working on it for
I know
a while,
you guys all been working on it.
but
But
this
good,
just
excellent.
happened yesterday. But they may still feel that they need to look at it. But at the same time, unless you understand the system that we're working to, when Justin talked to them before on the phone, there was only one that kind of got it. So,
I don't think we're gonna approve the contract today anyway, and maybe we don't need to ever, but anyway, I guess once we talk to Baker Tilly, that'll be part of their bond issue, their costs that we're already absorbing through the bond issue, so if they have a comfort level with it, then we're good. One reason why we were bringing them in, I guess, I don't know, the auditor brought them in actually, right? The reason why we brought them in is because there was such a wide discrepancy there, and it just kept continuing to grow. And it was just a matter of finding what the resolution would be.
1 digit makes a big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah, it can, yeah, I agree.
We know how that
But thank you, we'll be talking with Baker Tilly probably yet today even,
Okay.
so. Thank you. Good job if you got reconciled. Was it in our favor?
It's a wash.
Okay, well, at least we didn't lose then, eh?
Okay, we're gonna move on. Anybody got any public comment? If you do, you want to come up and speak, come here to the podium. I'm gonna limit to you about 5 minutes, if that's okay.
Okay.
I say 5 minutes just to have something there in case someone
I'll be
continues.
quick. I knew what I was going to say about 2 hours ago. So, my name's Chris Pate. I'm moved north of Dana about 12 years ago. Clear, beautiful, open skies there. I'm not for the Apex wind generators that they're putting in, and I'd like everybody to think about short-term, long-term benefits, because if they go in, I go out, and I'm not the only one. So you're gonna have people moving out. Who's gonna take care of these 5, 10 years down the road? How many jobs is it actually gonna create? You're gonna need 3 or 4 people running them. How many jobs are we gonna eliminate? So, just something to consider. I'm 100% against them.
Have you
Please
been-
scratch the surface and do as much research as I'm sure you have.
Have you been attending any of the area planning meetings?
I will be there this Thursday.
And there was 2 town halls that were conducted this last week. Were you able to maybe attend those?
I was not. This is the...
Those are solar, though.
Yeah, those are residential solar.
You're right.
Which I will attend more often.
And have you provided any written comment to any of the commissioners or to the area planning?
Not yet.
Okay. I might encourage you to do that if you would.
And we had a petition that I couldn't sign off, but there's 200 of our neighbors plus that have signed this petition against it, so. And the folks I've talked to, I haven't talked to anyone that's for it, but a lot of people busy, they don't have time to come to meetings, don't really want to deal with it.
Sure.
Meeting's this Thursday night, or when is it, next meeting?
I think Thursday, but I'm
John,
not
is
sure.
it Thursday? 6:30 or 6?
It's right here.
Yep, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, you're welcome to attend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to express my concerns.
Thank you.
Anybody else got public comment?
I haven't found anybody that wants to see.
You're gonna have to come up here. You're gonna talk.
I'll talk to you later.
What's his name?
My name's Travis Newman, and I live in Clinton. And I came for kind of the same topic, but I do like something that was talked about earlier, the trails. I'd like to see that move forward. It seems like a good idea. See some trails being built. But the wind turbines I'm against. I'm not for that. I'd like to see you all too. Everyone I talk to is not against it. I was born here, so I'm staying here. I'm not moving with wind turbines stuff. That's not going to move me out, but I don't want to see them. And I have not done any written. I can write whatever you want me to write and put in writing for you all, or APC or whatever. I can do that. But I came here to talk to you, so see what you got to say.
He goes on record as well.
Was that?
He goes on record also here in the
Good.
minutes. So. I have a meeting with Apex facilitators, if you will, at 10:30 here, or not here, but
Yeah, down in Clinton.
down at Clinton at the commissioners. If nobody knew it, we have a commissioner's office down there, or a conference room.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knew it, but we do. But
did not know
anyway,
that.
I have a meeting down there shortly. Yes.
I'm part of your 10:30, but.
Oh, good. I was watching the clock here. But anyway, I have a meeting down there with them, and I'll be able to maybe report back something from them at our next meeting to what's happening with that. And anyway.
So where it stands now is at the zoning?
The wind turbines are it's in area planning right now and zoning. It hasn't been anything brought to the commissioners at this point. The only thing that's been approved to date with alternate energies anyway is the commercial solar, which I'm hoping still to get comments back and for that to be remanded back to area planning for additional considerations.
So the town halls were for commercial solar?
That was for residential solar.
Residential.
Those were this last week was when those are.
Okay.
They'll have the same thing when wind comes up. What I'm hoping that area planning will do is provide us with all the comments, good, bad, or indifferent comments and what the reasoning for those comments are is the important thing too. Not that I'm against it, but why are you against it? I'm for it. Why are you for it? Or you don't care, whatever the case may be. But what we're looking at is to make a community-wide decision here. There's been some people who even say that it should be put on the ballot, and I'm not sure that's the right thing either. But it affects some people more so than others, but it does affect the county regardless. So.
Okay, appreciate it. Just wanted to be
Thank
here,
you.
let you know.
Thank you.
Next.
Did you have a comment?
I'll just introduce myself if I may. Should I come to the front or?
Yes.
Podium.
My name is Brad Sperber. I'm with a Colorado-based nonprofit called Keystone Policy Center. We were approached along with a partner organization by Apex several weeks ago asking if we would be interested in playing the role of, we think of ourselves as independent third-party conveners, impartial facilitators of collaborative decision-making processes of a lot of different kinds. So I'm not here speaking for Apex or listening for them, but I'm here with a couple of colleagues meeting with Commissioner Luther later this morning and would love to hear from any members of the community. We've been talking to a number of folks offline and just gathering perspectives so that we can listen for our own perspective. What does the company need to understand about the values, the history, the interests of the community from different generations, different ends of the county, folks who've been here for a few years and folks who, talking to a number of landowners whose families have been in the same land since 1870, whatever, and we need to hear those perspectives. I would say particularly it would be helpful for us to hear from thoughtful skeptics, from folks who have concerns, and as Commissioner Luther said, what's the basis for those concerns, and is there information that could come forward from credible sources to really help with the conversation? So we're interested in brokering, if we can, some kind of a credible conversation between the company and members of the community, and are here to find out who are those right voices that we're not hearing from yet, and what do we need to do to make sure the company's listening with their right ears.
So Brad, when you guys do this community listening, will you guys draw your own conclusion from all that data, or will you share that raw data with everybody from what you
Well,
gather?
I think we want to make sure we're working with, I don't want to say partners, to assume that folks in the community are necessarily trying to help us do what we're trying to do, and we're not here to advocate for any kind of outcome on the company's behalf. That's not who we are, what we do. So I think we want to make sure we're conferring with the community and being advised on. So restate your question. I want to make sure I'm answering it correctly.
Yeah, so like you want to take input from the community to kind of collaborate and tell Apex, hey, this is what the community wants, but let's say you talk to 1,000 people and your conclusion is this is what they want. Will you share the raw data that you collected?
With the community.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think what I meant to, was going down the road of, we want to make sure we understand from the community what kind of transparency is appropriate. I think to the extent that we're having, folks are approaching us individually, we want to be discreet enough to say, whatever you tell us, we will hold in confidence or not for attribution. So what Apex gets from us would be exactly the same as what the community receives from us. And actually, I'm hoping within a couple of weeks, let's say 2 to 4 weeks, we could have some kind of high-level, not for attribution summary of the perspectives that we're hearing from members of the community.
Okay.
And I didn't mean to have a speaking moment here, but I am glad just to show my face and introduce our role and welcome really anybody with a perspective that they want to share. And if you want your name pinned to it, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to just speak discreetly and have a voice among voices, again, I think we especially want to hear from those who might ultimately have a reason for saying to the company, no.
But ultimately, the summary won't have that raw data. Your summary will just say, this is the picture we've seen from talking. You won't share the raw numbers.
Correct.
Okay.
In part because I guess I would caution against reading anything into raw numbers. It's not going to be a community-wide survey statistic.
Yeah, I understand, but
yeah.
But having somebody else, a company hire somebody else to come in, anybody can draw a conclusion if you take 100,
Absolutely. I mean, there's the saying, interpreting data is like torturing a spy. You interrogate it enough, it'll tell you what you want to hear. And so I think we want to be very cautious about, including expectations on the company's part.
Yeah.
The 60 people we talk to will be the 60 people who choose to talk to us.
Yeah.
And I think they're also sharing with us any responses to, there's a questionnaire on a project website. If folks haven't seen that, I'm happy to help make it available.
So how are you going to get this data?
Look, I'm going to clarify, it's qualitative data. Talking to folks, I think the questionnaire responses
have they asked you to go talk to the people living in that area? Have they told you to do that, or what have they?
Well, we haven't heard directly. I haven't heard directly what that area is. I certainly hear a lot of speculation from folks that are talking to us, but I think in part, and my sense is the company folks are appropriately hanging back because they would want to hear from. They should want to hear from members of the community. Are there places where this is welcome? And I think they're assuming members of the community would want to hear. Are there, what are the zones in the county that would be appropriate for a wind project? And I think it's not just a question of, are folks okay with seeing a wind turbine in their field of view, which is a very appropriate concern, but also if they're welcome at all, in whatever neighborhood of the community, there will be some curiosity, I assume, about what's the impact on the tax base. What kind of royalties would the county be looking at, and is there a value to that? So I think we're here at this point to listen, and assuming that if there's a next chapter to our role at all, it would involve some kind of deliberative process involving members of the county, representatives of the company, and then folks who opt in from the county, whether it's formal leadership or clergy, retired school administrators, whoever the right measured voices would be, coming with curiosity. Why should you trust me, let alone the company? And again, we're going to be asking, are there sources of information that everybody can agree to trust? Is it a technical expert from Purdue, or do we load up a caravan and travel to a community maybe a couple counties over and listen to people? Can you hear them at night?
We'll
If
have
it's
to
a
move.
hunting community.
Yeah.
We'll have to move on.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, but thank you for the opportunity, and welcome chatting with anybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
What,
I got a question about the.
Come up here.
community crossings.
That's good.
It's got $1.5 million.
My name is Brad Lindsay. I got a question about the community crossings, the roads that were selected in the St. Bernice area. I own the last 6 lots on Park Avenue.
Okay.
And it's always been skipped on any projects out there as far as paving. The last time they stopped right where my property begins. It's on a dead end. So I don't know if they're afraid to go down there and do anything or what. But I bought that property and the house 41 years ago. It had a paved road. And I was in here last year and talked to Harry Crosley. We had a problem with some dirt bikes went down there. And with them knobby tires, milled up what was left of that road, and at the time he said we don't have any blacktop, and he put some road pack down. Well, the ground's ate it up by now, and I was just wondering if I can get Park Avenue on there, because I noticed on this paper Park Street is mentioned twice. Now, is there maybe a mistake and they left out the avenue?
It's got to be broke, it's got to be broke up in segments.
Okay, well, how can I get Park Avenue on there?
That decision there was made by Harry Crosley from previous, and you need to talk with Britton. Britton's a new
Because
commissioner.
every time they do something on Park Avenue, they stop
That has
before
nothing
they
to-
finish on
No,
out. I was
that's
just, how
past.
can I get it to go the rest of the way?
That's past administration. You have. a
Oh, all
new-
this is past administration?
That was done
Yeah,
last
done last
November.
Okay, well, that's what I'm gonna find out.
The unfortunate, the fortunate or unfortunate, the Crossroads, we cannot do any more or any less. Well, I guess we do less if we run out of money,
Yeah.
but whatever's on that list is what we're obliged to do.
For this year.
Yeah, now next year, assuming Crossroads is still available next year, then there'll be a new list put out as to what we're gonna do. And it's not just paving projects that this monies can be allocated to either, it can go to other things. And that's probably what will happen next year, but, input for next year's Crossroads is accepted. And, anyway, but
How
to
do I-
answer your question, no, it won't. If you're not on that list this year, no, it won't happen with the Crossroads money anyway.
Well, what can I do to make sure I get it on if we do it again?
Well, it's not a guarantee. What I'm doing with District 1 is that there's a program called PACER, developed by Purdue University, State of Indiana subscribes to it, MDOT does anyway. What it does is that you rate your roads, and what it goes through is to what the condition of the road is, and there's a rating to that. Once we're in District 1 anyway, we're going to go through and we're going to do every road that's in District 1. We'll assign that a PACER value. Once we have those values, then we're going to prioritize those items as to what the need is. Need is not necessarily because the road's tore up, it also has to do with service, it has to do with road count, it has to do with, is it a dead end? Is it something that serves a community? Is it an arterial road? Is a main road, et cetera, et cetera. Once we prioritize them, then we're gonna have a town hall. Once we have the town hall, people will come in and be able to see where their street falls, or their road for that matter, or whatever their interest is in roads, or bridges, or culverts. And then they can say, well, this is the reason why this one should be number 1, or why it should be number 500. And we'll discuss those out, and then everybody will have an idea of where their roads stand as far as repair, maintenance, or upgrade. So that's where we're headed with District 1 anyway.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we adopt that, we'll see how it goes in District 1, hopefully we'll adopt it throughout the county. Maybe we'll do it in conjunction, that's still being discussed on how things are gonna be ran on that end of it. But you fall in District 1, and that's how we're going to be looking at this next year anyway.
Okay.
And that starts
so-
July 1st.
Pardon?
And that program, we're hoping to start July 1st.
Yeah, this one here. So we're hoping if this is done and
Yeah,
settled.
it's done.
And so we're hoping if we have another grant or if it carries on. So will that be advertised as to when the guy can come and talk about his road?
Yeah.
I mean, or
Cross-
is there a certain date for the next, well, we don't even know if the money's gonna be there.
we don't know that, we don't know that we'll get an award next year.
Right.
We don't know if they'll have the program next year, but assuming that they do, we will make an application for it, and the council has to also agree to fund it too. There's still a match that goes with that.
Okay.
So there's a number of things that have to go into play, and I think Crossroads starts up here in July or August, does it not?
Yeah, we need to get started on another.
It starts up here soon. I'm not sure that I'm going to be done with our PACER rating by the time Crossroads comes up again, but we're going to do our best with the resources we have to try to get these things rated.
You can meet him sometime, can you just, he can show you what he's got, just to.
Yeah, I've got to go out to St. Bernice anyway about a different matter.
Yeah, just meet up with him.
If you're around. In fact, I think I know where you live, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm on the last, it's called, the 911
I think we've met
address.
before.
It's South Park Avenue, but it's the farthest north you can go.
But it really, at this point, yeah, anybody can, I keep a log of all the issues, whatever they are, whether it's road issues or trash issues or whatever. I keep a log of that and try to address each one of those. So, again, I'm hoping to make this more of a technical than a feel-good thing, like, oh, I like you, so I'm going to pave your road. I'm hoping to make this.
I don't expect anything like that. No.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping to.
I just want my road paved. I bought it paved.
Sure.
Or the land around it, but
and
it just seems like it's always on the short end of the stick. You can see where maybe it's 15 years ago they boom stopped.
Understand.
You know, and it's like, come on. But I don't know what paid for that. I don't think the community crossings wasn't even around back then. But
probably not.
anyway, it seems like it gets left on the back burner. And I've seen Park Street on here twice, and I was hoping.
I'll look into it. I don't know right off. I'll have to look into it.
All right, well, maybe we can get together or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks for your
Britton's
time,
good
Jim.
about meeting up with people.
Pardon?
I said Britton's good about meeting up with people. He'll be in contact.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I got something I want to read before we close. Just gotta. Can I read this? Okay, read this.
I don't know what you're reading.
You need some good news, right?
Oh, yes.
This came in just a while ago on email. It said a review of your submission to the Treasury submission portal for coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds on behalf of Vermilion County, Indiana. It is finished, and the information and documentation you submitted is determined to be complete and accurate. Your payment is based on allocation methodology and applicable tranching. It's a different word. Additional information is available on Corona State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds website. At this time, the Department of Treasury has processed a payment in amount of $1,505,152.50. Please note, receipt time loan of this payment is subject to your financial institution's usual processing time. So we have received $1.5 million today. So,
excellent.
Tell them what it's for. American Rescue Plan.
should hear you.
It's for the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah,
I don't
American
think they
Rescue
know
Plan.
that.
So, anybody else got anything to say? About an hour behind. Thank you all for coming.
Meeting
Appreciate
adjourned,
seeing you.
or make a motion to
You gotta-
adjourn?
you wanna make a motion?
I will.
Second the motion.
Discussion?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I need to sign something here.
Marathon.
Yes, I need.
Do I sign